Why not?
I'm also going to need,
Audio?
no.
We'll call this meeting to order at the first meeting of May 2013 of Macon County Board of County Commissioners. Chairman Corbett is out of town, and so we will go ahead on. We have a short agenda, but a very important agenda, and we'll move along with that. First and foremost, do we have any announcements? Commissioner Hickey? No. Commissioner Tate?
I have asked, I sent all of y'all an email out. Fire departments, we have 4 fire departments asking for a tax increase, and I've asked them to be ready and present in our June meeting. Those questions, work with them on the information. So, Commissioner Hickey, that here has the
And I have a copy. So if anybody needs another copy. And also, and we will talk about this later, but those who may leave the room, next Monday night, the 20th, at 7 p.m. This meeting will be recessed and rescheduled in Highlands at the Rec Park. And does everybody want to get I don't know that.
Rec Park or the
Rec Park and Civic Center.
Civic Center?
Well, it's the same thing.
You don't need that.
5 West Main Street, Highlands. That's all we have, that's I know. So, with that, Mr. Hayden. No one else? We will be going to Raleigh after the meeting on the 20th. Some of us will be leaving then, some will be leaving on the next day for County Assembly Day. A lot of things going on. This is crossover week, as we all know, and a lot of things are going on in Raleigh to pay attention to. So we hope a lot of the board can attend, and we plan on going. As you see tonight, we have a lot of folks. I'd like for all the law enforcement, if you would, to please come up front. Out here.
You first. I'm gonna go around and go out the door.
It's not.
We can get a good picture.
Well, that leaves us out.
Right here in the front. I think most everybody knows our deputies, but some of these folks may not be familiar to all the county commissioners or those present. Representing the North Carolina Wildlife is Officer Kenny Fash. Representing the North Carolina Highway Patrol is Trooper Leah McCall. Representing the Franklin PD is Chief David Adams. Of course, representing the Sheriff's Department is Sheriff Robbie Holland. Chief Bill Harrell called and said his son was sick right now, I think. So he apologized and could not be here. The reason we're having these officers in front of you today, this is National Law Enforcement Week. And we recognize all these folks that are in front of us and all the folks they represent who protect us day in and day out in Macon County. And these are the folks who do just that. And that is Bill Harrell. So we've asked these folks to come tonight not only to show our appreciation, but to take a moment of silence as we remember 6 officers lost their life in North Carolina. That's just in North Carolina. Some in counties not far from here, Watauga, I think, being the closest county that lost an officer. So as these men and ladies go to work every day, they do it for one reason, that's to protect us and the citizens of Macon County. And this is just a small appreciation to them and to thank them every day. When you put on a bulletproof vest and go to work, you go to a different job than most folks. These are the folks who do it and represent those who do it for Macon County, and we appreciate them very much. So at this time, I'd ask you to please stand. We will have a moment of silence to remember not only those who gave their life in the line of service for the citizens, but and also give thanks to the men and women of Macon County who protect us day in and day out. So now we'll have a moment of silence, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Sheriff Holland. So we'll have a moment of silence at this time. Thank you very much. Everybody turn and face the flag. Sheriff Holland, if you would lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we all disperse, if anybody would like to say something from law enforcement, Trooper McConnell.
I'll just say thank you for recognizing the North Carolina Patrol.
Well, yeah, you do it too.
From the people station.
Chief Adams.
Thank all of you all, commissioners, and everyone for showing up and giving us a chance and recognizing us, and also for last Friday's memorial service. We appreciate it.
Sheriff Hall.
I too just want to thank you for recognizing these officers and myself, not only from my agency, but all the agencies within Macon County as well as Western North Carolina. And thank you for your support as our liaison to the agency. We appreciate that. And above all else, we appreciate the support of our families, because if not for them, we would not be able to do the jobs that we do. And we appreciate both of those supports. And thank you.
Commissioner Hayden.
Officers, I thank every one of you for what you do. I know that every day you put a bullet to the vest on. I said this before, I used to be a law officer. I wouldn't have a good job for 6 years right now. It's that hard, but I appreciate every one of you and every hour you put in this job.
Commissioner Heath.
We appreciate the services y'all provide to keeping Wayne County safe. It's a challenging job, and it's a risky job, but it's a profession you've chosen, and we appreciate that commitment.
Commissioner Taylor.
Ladies, I probably tear up if I really get into my long speech, so I'll keep it short. You greatly appreciate it.
And these are the folks and the leaders of the folks who protect us from day in and day out. I know at least one trooper lost her life, Trooper McCall, this year so far in North Carolina, and numerous sheriff deputies. And so every call is different, but we appreciate all y'all do. We don't say that enough. You certainly don't do it for the money. You don't do it for the prestige. Like Ronnie said, you don't leave your families for that long, but we do appreciate it. And I think County Manager Horton had a few words.
Well, it's not for me to talk as much as these elected officials who represent the voters of the county, but from an administrative standpoint, we couldn't do what we do in the county without the support of law enforcement. We're very, very fortunate in this county to have such high quality of law enforcement officials, from our Sheriff's Department to our Highway Patrol to our local law enforcement officers. And a lot goes to quality of life where you live, and we're all fortunate to be able to live in a place like Macon County. And the reason that it's a great place to live is not just because we got beautiful scenery, but because we have dedicated public service who are willing to put their lives on the line every day to make sure that we maintain that. And I appreciate what you do, and I'm sure all of our county employees, and some of you all, appreciate your dedication and your hard work. Like Mr. Bill says, don't do it for the money. If you did it for the money, you'd be doing something else. But thank you for your service. On behalf of all of our county employees, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much for coming. We just want to take just a few minutes to recognize and thank y'all for what you do. And we do appreciate it. Thank you.
See you, Chief. Hey, take care.
Next item on the agenda is designation of authorized signer for the Macon County inmate account. Roy Hall will lead us in that discussion.
Yes, this is to make our auditors active for the general statutes. The finance officer and others are designated by the board or authorized signers. So currently, for practical purposes, you know, the sheriff's department has a special bank account for the inmates for, loved ones send money in so they can buy commissary. And so this action is just to appoint Steve Stewart and Joe Sharp as authorized signers on that inmate account. And then the ultimate goal is
hopefully by the end of June, we will be switched over to Oasis Management, which is a debit release program. So we will eliminate the need to write checks, and when inmates release, they'll have a preloaded debit card with their balance. They'll be able to take to any ATM, like a Walmart or, even online, whatever, and, use their balance or the ATM and all the balance.
And this is recommended by our auditor. Any questions from Ms. Hall?
Checks they write are just when the inmate is leaving.
There will need to be continued checks if there's a transfer of the inmate from one facility. But other than that, I think the debit card.
Those will be controlled by me at that point. When we get switched over to Oasis and debit release program, any checks, like Chester was saying, if the inmate's released to another facility, can't issue a debit card for that facility going to the inmate.
So the check follows the inmate?
The check, will follow the inmate, but those checks will be written under my authority.
And you keep an eye on this account, this is the account.
Oh, yeah, every month.
You get us some.
Blue Sharp balances every month, that's your department. Then it comes to one of my staff members who does another check, and then it comes to me, and I triple checks, and we've got our eyes on it.
Any more questions from Ms. Hall? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Motion made and second that we authorize assignment from Macon County inmate account as listed until such time that it's changed. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That would be unanimous vote. Okay. All right, moving on, consideration of budget amendment 168. Ms. Hall.
I don't have the amendment before me, but.
I do.
Okay. John Fay had approached me. He has received some additional HARP funds in the amount of $29,337. And so he has to spend these funds by June 30th. So that was the request to go ahead and have it approved tonight so we can start spending these funds. There's no county match. So this will just enable us to go out and help more citizens with updating their
The difference between this money, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, and the winterization money, there's a little more flexibility with this money.
Yeah, and there's no match to it. It's still not enough to do everything that needs to be done, but it's definitely in the right direction. But we can't, nothing can be spent until it's been approved and appropriated by the Board of County Commission. So the grant money's there, we just have to get it into our account, authorize us to expend the money. So that's my
And just to bring the board up to speed, if you don't know, world changers are coming. A lot of world changers are coming. The most ever. We'll be here for 2 weeks. With winterization money, you can't do cosmetic upgrades. All you can do is structural repairs, roofs, whatever that is. So, and with the new rules, which for the world changers, I've always been involved with it, as I have. What's different now is anybody that's 18-year-old or younger, no, they have to be 18 years old. They cannot even be on the job if they're younger than that. So, I mean, we first started, I'd have them on roofs, which is dangerous, I realize that. So, but what they can do is paint. They can do cosmetic stuff. So, we're going to be we're going to be requesting from the churches some help with buying paint. And maybe some of this money in this grant, John's checking on it to help buy paint. But the demand is great on our housing department. And but if you have a chance, we'll bring you more people in the world change to come. But there's going to be a crowd of them. And they're coming for 2 weeks. So, and we're proud to have them. We just got to have enough work to keep them busy, and that's not a problem.
Along the same line, I was going to say along the same line, back during the winter, when everybody was sick, and we had an application going for this additional money, and he was out sick on Friday, and he didn't get sent in, we sent in on Monday, and they turned it down. They've reconsidered now, and we got the approval and documentation, and yesterday they all go ahead, they are going to fund that up to $75,000 for our housing department.
Where's that come from?
State Housing Finance Agency.
What this is right here is going into these low income houses.
Each family has to qualify, you know, they have to do a financial qualify. And if you followed us and just seen some of the places that they worked on, you would think you would anything like that. Yeah. So they do, the winterization program is a great program. So these oil changers, when they come, they'll all be involved in that, so we'll talk about more about that.
On this, bring this money into fund it.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the budget amendment as put forward. Any further questions? All in favor say aye. That's unanimous. We do have a few changes to the agenda. We didn't even ask that if you may want to add or delete anything. But one thing we are going to add, we have Miss Sunny Hines with us. And I talked to Commissioner Haven earlier this evening. And Sunny's got a project want to do down on the Greenway. And so that objection, gentlemen, I'll let Sunny approach and give us that report.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here, Mr. Commissioners, and on such short notice. I appreciate it. I'm on the board now for Friends of the Greenway, and we have an opportunity to apply for a grant for some money to do some habitat restoration work. The parcel is a county-owned parcel. The work would cover about 2.6 acres of land, and it's mainly a reforestation project. We'd like to plant a lot of trees back in this area. I think what's probably most pertinent is where this area is, and so I made some quick maps of the area and just circled the project area. And so I'm here tonight to ask for your permission or your consideration of allowing Friends of the Greenway to submit this grant application in order to do this reforestation work on the Greenway. The project is a little bit more complicated than just planting trees because there is some exotic invasive vegetation. There's actually a lot of exotic invasive vegetation, namely privet, covering a large part of this area, and that would need to be removed. And it's too much for volunteers to do. So we would like to include in the grant a estimate for hiring a landscape contractor or someone similarly trained to do the work on county property.
Just how to make sure I'm on you right.
Sure.
The community garden is right here?
No, sir.
Right here.
It's further up, if I may. Yeah, you see that little corner sticking out there?
So this is the library.
Yes, sir.
This is the college.
Right. And so the community garden
so
is...
here's the old road going, it's up here.
Yes, sir.
I got you. Now I told Commissioner Haven, and he sort of speaks this too. We had this once before, Mr. Council, on invasive species. When we was going through a grant, we had to go back and review and make sure we wasn't interfering with anything that was set forth in the documents about the Greenway.
We need to be careful that we're not doing anything that would be violative of any conservation easements or any easement for power lines, and for that matter, it might even, I'm not sure if there's any sewer in that area or not.
There
Jack, yes, we need to be careful.
You identified anything, you know where it is.
So,
he knows where
I know
that is.
I've walked that area many times, so I know exactly where the manholes are. I don't have a map in my possession of the sewer line, but I'm sure.
Some stuff that would show that.
So, and go ahead, son, I think you got a deadline coming up.
This grant is to Duke Energy, their riparian enhancement fund, which, unlike the other grant that I approached you with several years ago, there are no contingencies, there's no strings attached to the money, and there's no, the matches that we're hoping to get would be from volunteers from different civic organizations, so no match from the county either. Yes, sir.
So, in this deadline for you to apply is Friday?
It's a week from Friday. It's a week from Friday, so we have a little bit of time.
So do you think, I talked to Commissioner Hagan, and we talked about this evening, because I didn't know exactly what this entailed, to give you time, Mr. Counselor, to look it over to make sure.
I don't see any problem with approving it, subject to y'all working within the parameters and the rights of others, to easements and conservation easements and power line easements. I mean, for example, if you're under a power line easement, you're going to be planting trees. There's no power line.
There's not, we specifically stayed out of that. The sewer line is the biggest concern. My understanding is that you need at least a 12-foot right of way where we're not going to plant any trees within 12 feet, 60 feet either side of the sewer line. So that would definitely need to be staked out and mapped off limits. I have talked to the Clean Water Management Trust Fund people. Again, I've just recently talked to Mr. Massey, Tom Massey, and I actually have an email from him. He's already approved the project.
So this would probably be consistent with
right.
I think they would like to see. But you do have to get their blessing.
But do you want to review it, so you want to ask the board to approve it contingent upon your review of this and contacting Ms. Hines?
I think what she's requesting is the authority to apply for the grant, as long as she is making that application with the understanding that there are property rights that have to be respected. I don't see any problem with going ahead and approve it.
One other thing I would like to request is to strengthen this application. Partnerships are good, and so not asking for any money, but if we could include Macon County as a partner in the grant application.
I don't like that term, part.
Would be supportive.
Supportive, it would be
great. Would be great. We could put very much supportive.
How about that?
Okay, that's wonderful.
And now, and Paul is very familiar with that sewer line down there, and I'm sure Paul would take time. Paul, you want to speak to that? If he comes to it and get time with us.
They made it when we went through there with the sewer line.
One of the reasons, honestly.
Yeah, that's a steep bank. That's good for not, that's just a steep hill down through there. It's from that branch, is that where you're starting, that branch? Yeah, that's right at the end of the old railroad cut.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Go across that little branch. Yeah, you can drive down through that cut.
Yep.
And you're starting at that cut and going up to the top of the hill with the road. You're going up to the driveway, that paved road that accesses down there.
Not even that far, actually. It's just literally from the greenway to the river.
Yep,
So there's the
down
paved.
the branch.
Right.
What was that invasive thing you said was, son? What is it called?
Exotic thing.
Exotic
What is
invasive
it? What's that
plants.
again? Is that like kudzu, but it
Yeah,
is?
really
Stuff that didn't belong here originally.
But she mentioned a certain thing.
Chinese privet is probably I think that's the one I
Is that
mentioned.
kudzu?
No, that's a hedge. Remember we used to have hedges around
It's
the
a
house?
hedge.
Privet hedge.
We didn't have it.
And it's interesting, a lot of these.
Have a house.
We had kudzu.
We didn't have a house.
Well, you and Cuz, you didn't have any privet, because you didn't have anything else.
Probably off the floor and everything in there.
Oh, yeah,
It's steep land, all it's doing is keeping the road out of the river, so.
What kind of trees would you plant, son?
we would specifically use trees that are native to this watershed, that are suitable for floodplain. So it's not upland species.
It's a
it's
strong
floodplain.
root system, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
There's one other thing I want to bring up that I talked to her about out there too. There's a couple of pretty good sized trees that's fell probably to weather causes right there around the greenway. And one of them looks like a pretty good sized oak tree, about this big around. It's kind of just fell from the river back shading over that. And I don't know what the liabilities or what it would be involved if somebody wanted that to do it.
Is that over the greenway?
Where's that at?
No, it's laying right up there too. I mean, you still get back, okay, but it's just kind of nice.
Close to a power line, or you talking?
No, the power line's up there above where she's talking about. No, so you get up there too.
Is it close to that deep cut, Ronnie, or where's it at?
Yes, it is actually. It's right
Those
up
trees are still
the,
standing down through there?
that's a good point, because in that cut, there's quite a few dead standing trees, so that might be an issue to deal with as well.
At some point, it will be.
But this is one that's already fallen, and it's just, it's an eyesore mainly, and it prevents your view of the river. It's huge, and it had fallen in the past, but someone had cleared out somewhere.
When I saw it, I figured it might be a good chase because liabilities were the state for somebody wanting to get a load of firewood out there. And I mean, it'd get a good size load or two in one of them trees. But at the same time,
Just be careful letting the citizen go down on county
I
property.
understand. And if there's anything that we could use it for,
They just need to pay us for our day, church, they give them to drive access. I know,
Couple of my house, I'd like to get away from
12
small
foot,
now.
it's either side.
well,
No,
I
she said
told
6
her, I
foot,
said,
man,
I just couldn't bring it up and I did. So.
Yeah.
Miss May Jones will send somebody to stand out and have one.
So we're gonna get it out of there.
And I think what you got,
That's a state line, and it. That was maybe you could make a motion that we give Ms. Hines and the frogs, bring the Greenway Commission to proceed with them.
I'd like that motion, like as long as everything falls in.
Subject to the recognition of the taxable property values. Do you have a second? The motion been made and seconded that we authorize the Friends of Greenway to proceed with application of the grant for upgrades of trees at the Greenway as specified. The grant will also be specified that it will not intrude on other rights or benefits of the Greenway that's already stipulated. Any further discussion?
Grant secret, or is that?
I'm sorry.
Is the amount of the grant?
It's up to 20,000, but I haven't finished the budget yet. I'm not sure how much that will ask.
Oh, you and they're gonna probably take through the year there.
Don't do nothing, you call that out.
Any further discussion?
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. That will be unanimous.
Thank you very, very much.
Is there anything else, gentlemen, that you'd like to add to the agenda before we ask for a motion for closed session?
No, I would like to take just a minute to get a little bit of discussion on something that is, and it is due to a recommendation for next year and possibly lowering their lower tax if possible. Because I have stated and others have that we're not going to pull our services down, we're not going to cause a problem. I feel like that our fund balance would allow us to take a second look at this year. In all fairness to the people. The reason I'm saying this, I've been pretty tight-wad, I guess, on a lot of things I've voted this year for because of the state that this economy is in. And I just look out here and I see all these counties that have been pushed to the corner. I see the state backed up in their budget and everywhere else. I see the federal feeling on every dollar and borrowing, every dollar making it. So far, we've been doing pretty good. But I also think that we'll put some money back into the economy, people that it belongs to. That we'll be doing justice. And I'd like to just open up a little bit of discussion about time and Robert think about it. And talk about it, maybe some good coming with on the subject of state tax. And just see where you're at.
I couldn't comment, I see the budget before we close next week. I think that will determine if that, as far as I'm concerned, without knowing what the budget is, before the comment, make no mind.
Yeah, appreciate that.
The budget work session scheduled tomorrow, that's, when is that going to be scheduled?
Anytime after the morning.
Okay, if not, then we will there be anything coming out of closed session?
That's it, a decision.
A decision of any kind?
Likely not.
Okay, we don't want to hold the brothers here. So with that, just remember we will recess until Monday, May the 20th. If you have a new child, you're welcome to bring it with you at that time. If you
anniversary to be here pregnant and have. We hope you good luck with it. We really do. So at this time, we'll, if there is any decision comes from closed session, you'll certainly be notified by Mr. Decker. First thing in the morning, you're welcome to stay. How long do you think it'll take, Mr. Council?
Mr. Tate, I think, had a few questions of me, and I think he has a soccer game he wants to get to in about, how many minutes? 30 minutes. 30 minutes.
So we'll be done in less than
We'll be
30
done in
minutes.
about 30 minutes or less.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion to go into closed session, consult with our attorney.
And to discuss the possible acquisition and terms and conditions on negotiation.
Exactly. So, all in favor say aye. Aye. So we'll go into closed session. We'll be out in less than 30 minutes.
Originally speaking about towards the dates, are you supposed to be there saying you have your baby?
I haven't until the 25th to push them out, I guess.